Welcome to Barcelona, the city of art, architecture, and dreams. Rising high above its skyline stands one of humanity's most extraordinary creations, La Sagrada Familia. A masterpiece of devotion, creativity, and patience, this basilica has been under construction for over 140 years, yet it continues to inspire millions every year. The story of the Sagrada Familia begins in 1882 with a bookseller named Josep Maria Boccabella. Deeply religious and inspired by the Catholic faith, he dreamt of building a church dedicated to the Holy Family, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Construction began under architect Francisco de Paula del Villa, who envisioned a traditional neo-Gothic church. But within a year, disagreements led him to resign, and fate brought a young, imaginative architect named Antoni Gaudí to the project, a man whose vision would forever change architecture. When Gaudí took over in 1883, he didn't just redesign the church, he reinvented the idea of sacred architecture. He once said, "Originality consists of returning to the origin, believing that nature itself was God's purest creation." Inspired by trees, shells, and mountains, he merged geometry and faith to design a structure that seemed to grow from the earth toward the heavens. Every column, every arch, every sculpture was part of a divine language, where mathematics and spirituality became one. The basilica has three monumental facades, each telling a story from the life of Christ. The Nativity facade, facing the rising sun, celebrates life and creation, the birth of Jesus. It bursts with joyful detail, animals, plants, angels, and scenes from nature. The Passion facade, in stark contrast, is solemn and minimalist. Harsh lines and shadows depict the suffering and crucifixion of Christ, designed to evoke pain and sacrifice. The Future Glory facade, still under construction, will represent the road to God, reflecting faith, death, and eternal glory. When completed, the Sagrada Familia will have 18 towers. 12 dedicated to the Apostles, 4 to the Evangelists, 1 to the Virgin Mary, and the tallest, a 172-meter spire, to Jesus Christ, making it the highest church in the world. Inside, the columns rise like tree trunks, branching into ribs that form a forest of light. As sunlight filters through the stained glass windows, the interior glows in hues of blue, green, and gold, creating a breathtaking symphony of color and calm. Gaudí's genius wasn't just artistic, it was profoundly mathematical. He used shapes like hyperboloids, paraboloids, and helicoids, natural geometric forms that distribute weight perfectly. His innovative use of catenary arches, the curve a hanging chain naturally makes, allowed the structure to stand tall with grace and strength. Gaudí worked without modern computers, relying on scale models, hanging chains, and mirrors to test his ideas. Today, architects use computer-aided design to continue what he started, blending old craftsmanship with new technology. Antoni Gaudí dedicated more than 40 years of his life to this basilica, and in his final years, he lived on site, surrounded by his work. In 1926, tragedy struck when he was hit by a tram. Dressed plainly, he was mistaken for a beggar and taken to a hospital for the poor, where he passed away 3 days later. He was buried in the crypt of the Sagrada Familia, beneath the structure that became his life's devotion. By then, less than a quarter of the building was complete. Antoni Gaudí dedicated more than 40 years of his life to this basilica, and in his final years, he lived on site, surrounded by his work. In 1926, tragedy struck when he was hit by a tram. Dressed plainly, he was mistaken for a beggar and taken to a hospital for the poor, where he passed away 3 days later. He was buried in the crypt of the Sagrada Família, beneath the structure that became his life's devotion. By then, less than a quarter of the building was complete. The Sagrada Família isn't just an architectural wonder, it's a symbol of patience, faith, and human creativity. It reminds us that greatness takes time, that devotion outlives generations, and that art can be a prayer built in stone. Every visitor who walks through its glowing halls experiences something deeply spiritual, whether they are religious or not. The Sagrada Familia continues to rise, not just as a building, but as a testament to what humans can achieve when art meets faith. If you enjoyed this journey through history, architecture, and inspiration, please support this channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Your support helps bring more stories of the world's wonders to life. Thank you for watching, and may your next journey be as inspiring as Gaudí's dream.